You know, it's hard to believe that it's been 40 years since Scott Peck, the psychiatrist, opened his best-selling book, The Road Less Traveled, remember that? With these simple words: life is difficult. He drew from the psychology of Carl Jung and Stoic and Buddhist philosophy and Christian theology to invite us to grow and mature through the difficulties of life rather than try to avoid them. It seems not much has changed. You know, life is still difficult, and we still don't like it much that it is. Well, the best religious and philosophical minds have wrestled with this through the ages, so it's no wonder that we in our own time still do. Simply put, if there is a divine mind of wisdom and, yes, love, who's involved in some way in our world, shouldn't things smooth out and get easier? We each have our own ways of appealing directly to God about life's difficulties, and we generally expect that He will actively work to make things better for us. But it's hard to see any kind of smoothing out of things. A seemingly impersonal and uncaring world beats us down like unsparing summer heat. Actually, we'd like some of that summer heat right now to kill off this virus that's hit us so hard. And then we have our quest to create something beautiful in life, such as love, only to find that it crashes repeatedly in our failed attempts. We conclude with the folk singer, "Love is just a four-letter word." And if it's not painful enough for us, our own limits of knowledge and wisdom means we make mistakes and poor choices, and then have to live with their consequences, sometimes for a very long time. I may have made a career choice, for example, based on a quick path to good money without a lot of education and training required, but then my career ends up on the USA Today list of worst jobs. Seen that? And now it's hard to get out of it. And then there's a feeling about life, a feeling that we get from having life push back so hard. Does it have to be this difficult, we ask ourselves? And we wonder, maybe it's something about me. And then we question ourselves further and develop a general sense of inadequacy about ourselves. It pervades everything in our lives. And sadly, we can meet our days feeling inferior and that we're lacking in what it takes. Whew. God, if you're around, feel free to step in. Well, the scriptures reassure us that He does. Who doesn't know the shepherd's psalm? "The Lord is my shepherd," it begins in its beautiful, reassuring way. It celebrates the goodness and mercy that will follow me all the days of my life. But look again closely and see the way God joins us in our lives, how He steps in. "Even though I walk through the darkest valley," the valley of the shadow of death in the Authorized Version, "even though I walk through that darkest valley, I fear no evil, for you are with me." Now notice that walking through the darkest valley is expected. And evil doesn't vanish. It's that I don't fear it. And why? Because you, God, are with me. With me. Have you noticed that this can be the greatest gift for our times in the darkest valley? Even more than having someone do something for me is having someone be with me. I remember when I was 7 years old, and the doctor said I had to have my tonsils out. All the preparations were made, and my mother was taking me to the hospital to have this done. This was surgery. And in those days, you spent the night in the hospital beforehand, and no parents could spend the night with you. I remember the feeling of fear about the night in the hospital by myself and about the ether. Yes, ether. That would put me to sleep. And I clutched onto my mother and asked for her reassurance. "When I wake up, will you be there? Yes, she assured me she would be there. And after that dark, lonely night in the hospital room, she stayed until I fell asleep. And after the ether and the sudden sore throat, I opened my eyes, and there she was. Through my darkest valley, she was there. She was with me. And that's what made all the difference. It may be that in my struggles with life, I tug on God to do something for me, which is actually asking for something far less than what he gives. What he gives is that he is with me. Psalm 139 is another of David's psalms that speaks powerfully of God's presence in life, all of it. David affirms that God is fully aware of every detail of my life. And as he put it, how precious are your thoughts about me, O God. But even more than being in God's thoughts, we are in his presence. David imagines that he's considering all the ways that God is thinking about him. And he marvels, I can't even count them. They outnumber the grains of sand. And then he says, and suddenly I'm that 7-year-old boy again. And when I wake up, you are still with me. Yes, it's a real world that pushes on me every day. Sometimes beats me down. It can be really difficult. And then I wake up to him, the real God, who comes real close. I wake up to security. I wake up to peacefulness. I wake up to love.